It's a historic moment there. President Droupadi Murmu on board the Rafale jet undertaking a sortie as we speak. It's a mega Rafale sortie in the Ambala Air Base on your screens. Right now, visuals are of the sortie in Rafale jet, the star of Operation Sindoor. India's supreme Operation Sindoor power flex is what we're seeing on our screens at this point in time. Let's take a look at these pictures coming in from the Ambala Air Base where the President is on board the Rafale jet. The last time this was Sukhoi, this time 2 years later. It's the Rafale jet and she in fact is flying as head of the state as a passenger in the co-pilot or back seat. Rather act as the primary pilot here. A fighter jet, in fact, pilot is flying the Rafale jet. Pictures are from Ambala. Let's take a look. तो रफाल की खासियत नीचे रख दियो।
नहीं बंद हो गया
With the details of President Droupadi Murmu undertaking a sortie in the Rafale jet. These are pictures coming in from the Ambala Air Force Station at this point in time now, where any time, any moment we will see, in fact, the sortie being taken by President Droupadi Murmu.
नहीं हो गया दिख रहा कहाँ पे
President Droupadi Murmu is in the Air Force Station where she arrived this morning early today. And now on board the Rafale jet. Pictures on your screen are from the Ambala Air Base at this point in time, where any moment now we will see that sortie being taken by the President. The President is the Supreme Commander of the Indian Armed Forces. She's become the third President and the second woman head of the state to take a sortie in the past in Sukhoi-30 MKI fighter aircraft. This happened in the year 2023 in Assam. This time around, these are pictures, in fact, from Ambala. The first 5 Rafale aircrafts that arrived from France in the year 2020 and were used in Operation Sindoor this time around as India's response to Pakistan. The operation was launched, remember, on the 7th of May to destroy several terror infrastructures in territories controlled by Pakistan. I'm going to go back to my colleague Shivani Sharma getting in more on that big story. Shivani, take us through the details of this sortie also for our viewers. How many minutes really will it take? What more details can you give us?
Neha, what we have been told is that the Chief of Air Staff, Air Chief Marshal AP Singh, is also taking the sortie at the same time when the President is taking the sortie. We are seeing these two Rafale jets now. One with the President, the Supreme Commander, of course. The another one will be with Chief of Air Staff. He's also taking the simultaneous sortie in the Rafale jet from Ambala Air Force Station where he received President Droupadi Murmu. So 11:30 was the time which was scheduled for President Droupadi Murmu to take off. And that's what we see is on dot, on time. We see that fighter jet has already taxiing and it will be taking off within seconds as we see these pictures out here. We've seen Droupadi Murmu on the co-pilot seat along with the pilot who's flying her. Another Rafale will be with Air Chief Marshal AP Singh, who will be flying from Ambala Rafale. We've seen that Air Chief Marshal earlier in September had taken a sortie, and earlier when the MiG-21s were retiring in Chandigarh Air Force and earlier on the western borders too. So now we see him along with the President taking this sortie. This is, of course, a very important sortie. This is not a usual operational sortie, but a sortie with a lot of messages about the deterrence of Indian Armed Forces, the Indian Air Forces, Rafale jets and its capabilities, and also a very strong message to Pakistan, which had been running a fake agenda, of course, narrative about downing the Rafale fleet of the Indian Air Force in Operation Sindoor, and how havoc was created inside Pakistan by these Rafale jets. And when we talk about Ambala Air Force Station, this happens to be one of the very strategic Air Force stations, which is the base to the Golden Arrows, the Rafale fighter jet's body, which is generally involved in the operations on the Western Front. Another one is in Hashimara, West Bengal, that is close in proximity to the line of actual control on the Eastern Ladakh sector, where also the Indian forces are on a high alert. So here is this sortie with this Rafale that happened to be one of the most new members of the Indian Air Force's fighter body fleet, and 36 Rafales for the Indian Air Force. And we've already seen that for the Navy, also new Rafales will be joining in soon from France. So Rafale is one of the most important, lethal, modern, capable workforce of the fighter jets in Indian Air Force. And hence, we see them in action multiple times, not only in Operation Sindoor, but in a number of multilateral exercises they've participated. They've shown their endurance, they've shown their maneuverability and the capability of carrying the weapon systems and taking on the enemy with the most modern systems they have, the avionics, the stealth power they have. And also, when President Droupadi
Right.
Murmu
In fact,
is in
Shivani, I'd like
Ambala,
to tell our viewers again, as we can see in these pictures, coming a little fogged out, but the sortie is taking place as we speak. The Rafale jet indeed has taken off. I'm going to go back, in fact, to Shivani, who is taking us through the details of those pictures. Shivani, at this point in time.
when it comes to spotting the fighter jets in the air, it's actually challenging because their speed is such we cannot see them in skies once they take off. So the only moment to admire them is when they take off and when they are landing back, and rest is all the roar in the skies. So that's what we are also witnessing out here when President Droupadi Murmu, she dressed up in her overalls as a pilot. She took that seat in the cockpit. She waved her hand as the Rafale fighter jet was taxiing into the runway and then taking it off. And now we cannot spot it, but yes, we know the sortie is on. The sortie is of around 25 minutes, and along with President Droupadi Murmu, Chief of Air Staff, Chief Marshal Singh is also taking this sortie. So this is another remarkable event, Sneha, because at the same time, President and the Chief of Air Staff, they are in the air in the Rafale jets that have been very crucial part of Operation Sindoor. They have created havoc, damaged number of Air Force bases inside Pakistan, not only the terror camps in the initial strikes, but later on the action we saw, and just 88 hours of that action brought Pakistan onto knees. See, this is the takeoff of
फॉग सिस्टम है ना ये ज़्यादा नहीं
All right, like Shivani was telling us, the only moment we get to admire them is when they take off and when they land, and we got that beautiful picture of the Rafale taking off just a few seconds ago, although it was just for a fraction of a second, really. But that was the very moment when we saw the Rafale take off with the President in the cockpit.
के बाद आई